So driving around Christchurch, I see a lot of very small children on scooters heading off to school or heading off to wherever they're heading off to, but I had no idea that scooters is actually an international sport. Chris, how big is it in the world?
It's still a small sport, but it's a growing sport. And so with the arrival of scooter riders into the likes of X Games, into Nitro Circus, has made a big difference into
Talking
that
a different
sport.
language to me.
And to the extent that there is now a scooter world competition. So there's an International Scooter Association, and every year in Barcelona they run a world competition.
Now, the one that I see the children riding on to school
Yep.
are not the ones that you're using for sport.
They're not the ones that you're using for sport, but they're not a lot different. So they're a lot cheaper, and they're not quite as robust. You don't want to do a backflip on one of those. And at that world competition, you'll see lots of backflips and front flips and double backflips and lots of other stuff.
So, okay, a very obvious question. You have a business cutting Timothy chaff. You're an ex-mushroom grower, and now you're the manufacturer in the middle of nowhere of competition scooters.
Yeah, so we got into this because I have two boys that were heavily into scootering, and we couldn't find the parts that we wanted for their scooters here in New Zealand. And so we looked around and said, well, we were buying stuff out of Australia in most cases, and I looked at that and thought, that's just a bit stupid. There's got to be someone in New Zealand that can do this. The sport's obviously growing, there's more and more interest in it. And so we looked around and said, well, why don't we start our own? And so one thing led to another. We actually bought an existing business that was a lady had finished with, and we went from there.
It's the Kiwi way.
It's the Kiwi way. And yeah, we're now we're probably the leading retailer of scooter parts in the country, particularly in terms of specialist scooter parts. So we do the serious stuff. So we can do custom builds. We sponsor New Zealand's best and second best riders. They buy all their parts through us for their scooters.
So are you manufacturing these bits?
So we don't manufacture them. We buy them in from the leading brands across the world. So we stock Apex, which is the leading park brand. But we also bring stuff out of America. We do the Youth Gone Wild, which are becoming really popular. We do a lot of MV products. All of the leading brands we've pretty much got.
Now, you said internationally. Is there an international competition?
Yes, there is. So New Zealand fits in as part of the Australasian competition. So we sit as part of that. The winner of the New Zealand competition, which was held in January this year at Washington Skate Park, the winner of that competition gets automatic entry into the world competition in Barcelona in June or July this year. And then the 5 other top places get a chance to compete in Australia, and the top 5 out of Australia then get to go to the Worlds as well.
So we'll be looking at it as an Olympic sport in about 15 years, I suppose.
Well, skateboarding's just been accepted as an exhibition sport into the Olympics. I think it's the next Olympics, and there's no reason why scootering couldn't be there. The only thing that's stopping scootering, I think, is the fact that it's just a new sport. If you go back probably 10 years ago, scootering was for the kids that couldn't ride a skateboard because we couldn't balance on it. And I was one of those kids, I could never get the balance right. Nowadays, when you go to the skate park, there's probably more kids riding scooters than there are skateboards. And when you look at the range of tricks that you can do on a scooter, versus a skateboard, the range is far, far greater. I have yet to see too many people doing backflips on skateboards.
I guess for my age group, it's like skiers suddenly having to accept snowboarders.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same thing, and it's probably the same with water skiers and wakeboarders. It's just that evolution of what you can now do and where those sports are going.
So you can run a business like this in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so we do a lot of our business through the web, but we also have a mobile shop which we take into Christchurch every weekend. So Saturdays and Sundays, we're in Washington Way, and yeah, we do a lot of business through there.
The Kiwi marketing.
The Kiwi marketing, and it, I guess that for us, because we're a niche retailer. We had to
And
look
wholesaler.
and wholesaler. We had to find different ways of doing it, and the traditional bricks and mortar shop doesn't work. Most of our retail business is done on a Saturday and Sunday. If we had a retail shop, Monday to Friday, it would be empty of customers.
So social media, Chris, is basically your main marketing
So
tool.
social media is our pretty much our main marketing tool, and that's why we sponsor New Zealand's leading riders, because they have a big social media following.
And it's Scooter Bits.
It's Scooter Bits, BITZ on the end, and we also work with. So New Zealand has one of the biggest YouTube scooter channels in the country, and it's based here in Christchurch. And so we work with Scooter Brad in terms of just growing the entire sport of scootering across the country.